Welcome back to Upper Michigan today.
We're over here.
We're over here?
Sorry, I was all into that camera. We're over here.
That's okay. We're over here. We're talking
This
about
is our real job.
doulas of Marquette. It's actually World Doulas Week. Elizabeth, do you know about doulas? Because this is something that I feel like I've heard more about in recent years, but I still have so much to learn about what it is that they actually do.
Okay, what I've learned this morning is that what I thought a doula does is not quite what they do. Ooh, that's a lot of D's. So I'm excited to learn more because I think there's a misconception about what a doula is, what they do, what their service is. So let's dive into exactly what a doula is.
Yeah, we're here with two doulas, Melinda Britton and Kristen Carls of Doulas of Marquette. Thank you both for joining us here this morning.
Thanks for having us.
So let's start there. What is a doula? What does a doula do?
Oh boy, I feel like 90% of our job is to explain what do we do. That and counter pressure. Yeah, so a doula is actually a non-medical support for families throughout the continuum of pregnancy and then into birth and then in the postpartum. So if you think about like when a person's expecting, they've got their doctor or midwife, they've got, the nurses, everything. We just kind of come in, and what we're doing is we're really building relationships with family throughout the pregnancy. A lot of it is education, which we'll get more, into in a bit, but a lot of education, helping them really found that empowerment within themselves, making sure that they know options, maybe alternatives as well. And then throughout pregnancy, we share call, and we're just, they're asking us questions. We're really available in that way. We're not only there for like the birthing person, but also for the partner as well. Sure. So, most people have never, I don't know if you guys have ever been in a birth before, but most people have never been in a birth. So they're like,
only been birthed.
Like, you've only been birthed. Okay, so maybe one then, but you probably don't really remember it too well. So, it's like, I like to describe it like, imagine learning to ride a bike and somebody puts you at the top of 3rd Street Hill and they're like, best of luck, like hope it goes well. Like we're really there to help educate and empower also the partner so that they feel that they can most efficiently and effectively support the birthing person through the process.
And so you're not delivering babies.
We're not catching babies.
No.
Like really, we leave that to doctors and midwives. Like thank goodness
strictly
for them.
Support.
We're strictly support in that way.
Okay.
And then you want to talk about kind of like what we do like within the birth and the postpartum?
So, I think the word doula means woman who serves.
Okay.
And so we're there to support the whole family. And, we are, I came to doula work because of the fact that I had someone support me, not just me, but me and my partner when we had our first. And this person was so instrumental in slowing things down because, medical professionals come in and this is something that they do every day. And so they're throwing options at you of like, well, what do you want to do? You want to start this? Should we do this? And you're like, for the first time parent, they're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And so this person was like, why don't we take a minute and talk about it? Can we have a minute? And because I was given that time, I was able to really have the birth that I was wanting.
Sure.
And so it was really beautiful in the fact that she was there to help slow things down and give us the time that we needed, give us the information that we needed, kind of talking over the risks, benefits, alternatives of things, and we were able to make the decisions of how we wanted to go forward.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're there for. And so when I had that in my birth, I was like, this is more people need this. More people need this because
I agree so much.
Yeah.
My pregnancy my first one compared to my second one, night and day.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
My first one, I was so scared. I had no idea what was happening. I was very young. And had I known what I knew the second time around, it would have been a completely different experience. But it was kind of traumatizing, honestly. My first, And then the second time I was like, I'm going to do everything exactly opposite as I did the first time. And it was a much better experience. But had I had someone talk me through it a little bit more, and especially for young parents or first-time parents. I mean, there are a lot of unknowns, and when it comes down to it, you can read all the things, but when you're actually there, it feels very different than reading something.
Right.
Well, and I think that I relate also to Kristen in the way of like with my first birth like 15, almost 15 years ago. It's so crazy, time's weird. But it, you know, I remember reading a whole lot and just learning and trying to like telling my husband all these facts, and he's just like, okay, like cool, you know.
It's like overload.
Yeah, all right, you know, and then looking for a doula actually, because you know, you read in the book, it's like, oh, do you have a doula? And I was also like, what is that?
Yeah.
You know, and so then kind of learning about that, and I sought that out, and at the time there was like kind of a collective, but like I didn't hear back from anybody until like 4 months postpartum, so I was like, okay, I'm good, thanks. But anyway, like in my birth though, I really came to learn that people will always remember how you made them feel. They will remember if they felt like they had options, and if they felt heard, if you know your partner feels empowered, or if somebody's like, you know, get out of the way because you know you're changing the baby's diaper too slow or whatever. Like you're gonna remember those things. And actually, I was inspired to become a doula by one of my nurses. It was a slower night on the floor, which is great because most of the time, I mean, they're bopping, you know.
Yeah, sure.
But I felt heard and I felt held. And then a friend of mine had a birth experience a few months later, and I saw that like she felt very like her options weren't as, you know, there, and she wasn't feeling as empowered, and she came out of the experience feeling, you know, discouraged. And I was like, well, what was the difference here? You know, what could that look like? And I think I typed into Google like midwife, but not a midwife.
Sure.
And doula came up. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's, you know, we're constantly going into births and thinking, how are they going to feel about this?
Yeah.
How are they going to remember this? Are we taking those pauses? One of our doctors has said, like, you know, the doulas remind us, like you had said, to slow down.
Yeah.
The doulas remind us to slow down, and
That is the
hundreds
theme
of
of our
births
week.
later.
Yeah, that is
Slow
the
down.
theme of our week.
That was our entire show yesterday.
Slow
was
down.
Slow down.
Even in those kind of chaotic moments, it's important to slow down. So let's slow down and take a break.
Yeah,
Okay.
sounds great.
Let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll find out a little bit more about this model and really how it all comes together. We'll be right back.